The offset azimuth picker in Phoenix is completely different than the similar functionality in flat irons. The biggest difference is in Phoenix, it requires you to make a sort to the offset azimuth plane before you can do the work. The sorting is actually pretty fast. 100 million traces may take an hour and a half or 2 hours. So, you start the sort, come back from a long lunch, and you're ready to go. And I should also say that it's not actually offset azimuth, it's dx dy, where dx is station easting minus shot easting. Dy, of course, is station northing minus shot northing. All right, let's go ahead and open up the picker dx dy plane. And once again, if you can open it in a separate window, I recommend doing so, but I can't. Okay, so we don't have any sorts yet, and the program lets you know that. Let's go ahead and follow its suggestion and create a new sort. And this is actually critical. The bin size is the bin size in dx dy space. For really gigantic surveys, you can leave this at 100 feet, maybe 50 meters. But for very small surveys where you don't have any traces, it really kind of helps to reduce the bin size to something like maybe 400 feet. And max offset, don't forget to set that. We're going to set that to say 15,000 feet. Okay, so it actually gives you a warning. This is doing a lot of database access. It can run pretty slow things down, but I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. Now, once again, while this is running, you can use Phoenix to do other things to the same project or to different projects. But I'm going to pause the recording now. Okay, we're back. The sort is finished. This display can be quite confusing the first time you see it, but it's really pretty simple. In the upper left is the fold map in dx dy plane. As you move the cursor around on that plot, it'll tell you your approximate offset and azimuth. And you can see the fold goes up to 3,600 traces for each one of these little bins. And it looks kind of funky because this is at an angle, and I didn't account for that with the bin size or anything, but it's really fine. Let's go ahead and click on pick a place at random, and a couple of things happen. It loads all of the traces for that bin, so however many 3,000 traces are loaded in memory. You can't really see 3,000 traces at one time. So what the program does by default is it draws a horizontal guideline across your survey and then selects the traces whose midpoint is somewhat close to that guideline. And that number somewhat close is determined by this radius number up here. Right now the radius is 400. I'm going to make it 800 and hit enter. And you can see we get a lot more traces that are close to that guideline. You're not just stuck with this horizontal guideline. You can click and drag any direction you want, and it will select the traces along that guideline, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and turn off all of the picks on this. Unselect all. I just want to look at the data. Okay, so next thing you're going to want to do is kind of flatten the gathers, flatten the traces a little bit so you can see them better. So go to the flow icon and click on add, move out trend. And I'm going to left click on the vertical axis and then left click and drag to kind of zoom in. So this is what it looks like. They're pretty close to zero. And other thing you can do is when you hit the escape key on a trace in this window, unsurprisingly, it will select that shot in any other picker windows you have open. Let's go ahead and what am I going to do next? Oh yeah, some other hotkeys you can do in this window. By default, the left and right arrow keys, they scoot that line perpendicular. If your guide radius is 800 feet, they're going to scoot it 400 feet to the left or the right. And that way you get a lot of overlap and you can track your picks across the survey. And this is how you use it. I think a handful of people are going to really love this display because complicated data, you're not sure where the event is. This will help you track it like nothing else. It's very, very handy. And that's really all there is to the offset azimuth picker. The batch picking is not hooked up yet. Don't try it. But eventually it will be hooked up. Okay, that's it for this. Save recording.